Welcome back, and you are still watching The Breakfast Show, and today we are joined by our dear guest, Dr. Hossam Mostafa, ETLA President, commentator and researcher, and he's going to shed light on the outcome of President Fattah al-Sisi's visit to Uganda that took place on Wednesday. And we would like to welcome you, sir, in our show. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
So, Dr. Hossam, as I've just mentioned, that the President Fattah al-Sisi paid an important visit yesterday to Uganda, and he held bilateral talks with the Ugandan President. Let's start by the significance of this meeting.
According to my point of view as observer, and be involved in many resources and getting data about this visit, actually it comes in as a very sensitive strategic meeting between the two leaders. It doesn't come as a spontaneous move from Egypt, but it's very calculated and very sensitive and critical time, as the two leaders discussed very critical issues regarding to peace, security, also the position of the Nile and such argument and disputes about it. So it's very sensitive, and it comes in a very critical moment.
So, sir, how does the visit reflect Egypt's interest in enhancing security and stability in the Nile Basin region?
Actually, Egypt, as we all witness, prefer to handle the soft power or having the diplomacy in many levels in order to be involved in deep relations with African countries such as Uganda, and of course we have historical relation within Uganda as many of the African countries. What's happening now in such very, let's to say, sensitive, I prefer this term, all over the world, makes a big need for the cooperation and arrangement between the two countries.
Yes, Dr. Hossam, we'll go for a short break and we'll be back, so stay tuned.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived at the presidential palace in Entebbe during his official visit to the Uganda, where he was warmly received by President Yoweri Museveni in an official welcoming ceremony reflecting the strong and growing ties between the two countries. Upon his arrival at the presidential palace, President al-Sisi inspected the guard of honor before greeting senior Ugandan officials and members of the Egyptian delegation accompanying the visit. President Museveni also introduced members of the Ugandan government and senior state officials participating in the high-level discussions. The official talks between the two leaders focused on strengthening bilateral relations and expanding cooperation across a number of strategic sectors, including trade, investment, agriculture, irrigation, infrastructure, energy, healthcare, education, and capacity building programs. The discussions also highlighted Egypt's continued commitment to supporting development efforts across Africa and enhancing cooperation with Nile Basin countries. President al-Sisi reaffirmed Egypt's keenness to deepen coordination with Uganda in pursuit of shared interests and sustainable development goals, stressing the importance of boosting economic partnerships and increasing the volume of trade exchange between the two countries. He also underscored Egypt's support for regional integration initiatives and efforts aimed at achieving stability and prosperity across the African continent. For his part, President Museveni welcomed President al-Sisi's visit, praising the historic relations between Egypt and Uganda and expressing appreciation for Cairo's role in supporting development projects and promoting cooperation within Africa. He emphasized Uganda's aspiration to further strengthen ties with Egypt in various sectors and to continue consultations on regional and continental issues. The talks also addressed a number of regional developments and African issues of mutual concern, including efforts to combat terrorism and extremism, enhancing security and stability in East Africa and the Horn of Africa, and reinforcing joint African action in confronting economic and developmental challenges. The two presidents exchanged views on water security and the importance of cooperation among Nile Basin countries in a manner that achieves mutual benefit and supports development for all peoples of the region. The visit reflects the depth of Egyptian-Ugandan relations and comes within the framework of Egypt's broader policy of strengthening cooperation with African nations and intensifying political and economic engagement across the continent. It also highlights the mutual commitment of both leaderships to advancing bilateral relations toward broader horizons of partnership and coordination in support of African stability, development, and integration.
Welcome back, and that was a report on President Fattah al-Sisi's visit to Uganda that took place on Wednesday, and in which he held talks with the Ugandan president. And back to you, Dr. Hossam Mostafa, a commentator and researcher. Dr. Hossam, now we have watched this report on the visit yesterday. Again, what are the fields of cooperation between Egypt and Uganda?
Let me first give my appreciation for that report. Yes. Actually, I have to greet you for such details. Regarding to your question, there are many fields that Egypt can invest its power and its resources in African countries, especially in Uganda. For example, the infrastructure projects, also training projects, yes, and reconstruction of states itself. We have a long and deep experience in that, and if we revise it, the report, we host many of the African students, researchers in our universities, especially from Uganda, and particularly in security fields and military studies. These some of the fields. Also, there is a great interest of providing the infrastructure for such countries, especially in Uganda, in order to settle the security of food through agriculture projects that Egypt participated there, also for electricity and the water resources.
Dams, yes.
Yes, the Egyptians have many projects and investments of millions of dollars there, and that's, I guess, it's get us to regain our African position. Also for the stability, for example, I guess the principle of African disputes should be solved by Africans themselves. That's what Egypt tries to affirm and to work on such frame.
So, Dr. Hossam, also, if we talk about Egypt's role in the African continent in general and its pivotal role, as we can see that Egypt cooperate with the African countries in the health sector. We have medical convoys from Egypt serving many patients. They are sent to African countries to treat patients. Also, we train African cadres in many fields like doctors and many other fields. How do you see Egypt's involvement with different issues in the African continent?
Let me say that this involvement isn't a choice. It's actually that the destiny, yes, of Egypt to be at the top, at the north of the continent. But the route of Egypt went through the heart of Africa in many regions. So Egypt, as it's used the friendly and diplomatic and soft power methods, avoiding disputes, it opened its doors for the students from many African countries.
In Al-Azhar University.
Yes, especially in Al-Azhar, and also for such secular fields like, as you mentioned, in medicine, engineering, all such advanced sciences. Most of the African countries came, and the students came and study here, and they become our representative again in their countries. That is, I guess, in my humble point of view, that's what's or how Egypt is working there. Regarding to the aids and to the assessment, as assistance that Egypt gave, this is our methodology, this is our approach all over the years with our African friend and countries, or with the whole world.
Yes. What is the importance of Egyptian-Ugandan coordination in combating terrorism and extremism in East Africa?
If we looked to the African map, at the moment, we are going to find many disputes, especially at the middle or the central area of Africa. These disputes are expanding widely and broadly. It comes with some civil wars or disputes that threatens the other country's stability and peaceful. So I guess Egypt is working to uproot these threats through getting it from the deep heart of its places. In Uganda and Egypt are working together for a long period in security level, and they get a great success in a way or another for counter-terrorism and uprooting the resources of terrorism in African continent.
So, Dr. Hossam, to what extent Egypt's relations with the African countries has witnessed a big leap under the leadership of President Fattah al-Sisi?
Now, I'm not going to talk about my point of view, but if we revised the data, all the reports, yes, there is a great progress, and during the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and actually what I can confirm from my observation, as I told you, that we are regaining our rule in African countries, or in Africa as a whole. That's, as I told also, it doesn't come as a choice, it's our rule.
So, Dr. Hossam, also, how do you see the importance of Egypt's geographical location as a gate to Africa?
Maybe many countries get such a metaphoric names, as a pearl, as a gem, and so on. But actually, if we looked to the map, if we revised the history, we are going to find, with the great respect for all African countries, that Egypt is the crown gem, actually. Through its history, through its participation, through its multi-level rules, historically, culturally, economically, military, and so on. That can't be, you can't gather all these rules in a certain country comparing to Egypt. And that's a very long historical rule that Egypt played, which give her its importance in all levels. As I said, all African countries have their history, have their progress, and we respect that. But the role of Egypt go deep-rooted in the history and the heart of the continent.
So, sir, how does Egypt contribute to supporting peace and security efforts in Africa and in the Horn of Africa?
By a visit like that, by the diplomacy that Egypt use with her neighbor and friend countries in Africa, Egypt looks to all disputes as it can be solved through negotiation, talks. The policy of Egypt is not to be involved or to enrich or increase disputes. It's all the time trying to stop the dispute bombs. That comes from being a mediator in many disputes and trying to get all the parties to sit and to discuss. Also, it works in a very balanced policy that comes in win-win situation. That is what makes her relation with many African countries is a very strong relation, not a domination, not to be interfering in their internal or local policies, but to give them opportunities that they can benefit, and at the same time it enhance and make our relation with the African countries more stronger.
Yes, so also how can we encourage more Egyptian investors to go and start businesses in African countries, as we see already that there are some Egyptian businessmen interested in doing that?
Actually, and specifically for Uganda, the Egyptian government investment around $250 million annually, and this is approximately the number. That means that we are not seeking such an imaginary relation. No, we are building this, building in these countries to help them and get also the benefit or return for the visit. For example, if we trying to get the main core or the most important points of it, it talks about projects in infrastructure, as we said, also about the water security, and all these not only commercial or economic projects.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very strategic, and it will go deep with the relation with African countries, especially in Uganda.
Yes, so sir, also if we talk about the future cooperation, how can we enhance our cooperation in the coming period? Do we need to start new fields of investments, increase our exports to the African countries? How can we increase this cooperation?
There are plenty and many opportunities that can be provided or introduced to our friends and neighbors and brothers in Africa, especially in the field of education and training, and also for state restructuring. That will help a lot. Besides, as we said, the infrastructure, security, water security, and so on. It gives a wide and very broader opportunity to be exchanged between the African countries and Egypt.
Yes. Finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Hossam Mostafa, ETLA President, commentator, and researcher. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And now we'll go for a short break and we'll be back, so stay tuned.